Buddy, Angela Petrilli here with a brand new episode of the Riff Rundown with my friends at Fishman. Today's episode is pre-recorded, but don't worry, it's still going to be interactive and fun. Today, we're going to be learning Long Ride Home by Patty Griffin, one of my favorite singer-songwriters, musicians, guitar players. She's an absolute gem, and I'm so honored to be teaching one of her songs today. So, have your acoustic guitar in double drop D tuning. All that means is your E strings, your low E and your high E, bring them down to D, and then place a capo on the 4th fret. So double drop D tuning, capo on the 4th fret. This is a really fun one, really beautiful voicings in this song. So as always, I like to know where you guys are tuning in from. And today's question of the week is, who's your favorite folk or Americana artist? I know Patty Griffin is one of mine. So let me know in the comments who they are and have your guitar ready to go. So let's do this. Here's Long Ride Home. So that's the tune we're going to be learning today. Really, really beautiful song again, as I'm sure if you noticed. Some chords seemed really familiar and some others didn't. So reason being is that we are in this double drop D tuning. So again, we're going to have to change where some of those, right, some of those notes are because the strings have changed. It's a ton of fun and again, brings a lot of really beautiful tonality that perhaps we didn't get in standard tuning, okay? So let's go ahead and get started with this intro. So here's the intro only. Okay, so what's happening here? We're kind of doing this back, or we are, in fact, doing this back and forth with the bass note. So we've got an open A string over this really cool like D chord, okay? We don't have any thirds here. We only have our D and our A, so that means the 1 and the 5 only. So let's go ahead and look at the chord first before we get started with the bass notes here. First finger, place that on the 2nd fret of the G string, okay? And your 3rd finger placing that on the 3rd fret of the B string. So you could, in fact, because we are in double drop D tuning, you can strum everything. Listen to this. Isn't that beautiful? We see this double drop D tuning quite a bit in a lot of different songs. So I love that she's using it in this one today. All right, so what we're gonna do here, keep that chord where it is, okay? You're gonna get the A string, pluck downwards, strike the chord downwards. Then you're gonna get your E string, strike downwards, okay? And again, just to keep things nice and clear, I am going to call all of the strings as if we were tuned in standard tuning so we can keep everything nice and clear, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. A string, chord, E string, chord. Okay, so here we go. Like a Travis picking kind of thing without using our thumb. We're using a pick and we're strumming a chord. So that kind of fashion. And then give it a little speed. It's a fun little thing there. So she does this 8 times in a row. Okay. Now what we're going to do here is this slide. Okay. Sounds like it's a lot, but don't worry, because we have these open strings, right? And particularly that open D string, that E string that we have tuned down, it allows for this really cool, beautiful, beautiful, very expressive series of notes, okay? So what we're gonna do here is we've got that back and forth. We're gonna give a little bit of a wiggle there in that strum. And we're gonna bring that 3rd finger, we're gonna slide it up to the 5th fret of that B string, okay? Just like that, all right? So if we're keeping track here, that note is gonna be a G sharp, okay? So. And again, you're gonna wiggle it a little bit there too, really cool, like down, up, down sort of thing. I'm gonna do that again, nice and slowly. Let's do that again. And again, we're not going to need our 1st finger. Leave that open so we get this really beautiful series of notes. So you don't feel the need to go ahead and keep that entire chord structure. Okay, so let's do that one more time. Now what we do there, notice how I slid back. We slid that 3rd finger up to the 5th fret. And then we brought it back, 3rd fret of that B string, if we're keeping track on actually what note this is, it is an F sharp. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that again. One more time. Light touch with the pick here really helps. Try not to dig in too hard. Let the pick do the work for you. Nice, light, very feathery strokes with the strumming hand, okay? Now we bring it back. Notice how I hammered onto that D chord, okay, without the 3rd. So what we're gonna do here, that hammer on with our 1st finger, 2nd fret of that G string is open, hammer on with the 1st finger on the 2nd fret of that G string. So that note would be that, like that, okay? So let's go ahead and do this again, whole thing, nice and slowly here, and then we'll build up the speed, and then we'll get to the next part. A little faster. So that's what's happening there in that intro. Now, the verses, a lot of this stuff stays the same. So let's go ahead and look at the verse here. Here now is we're incorporating a G chord, okay? And how we're going to play that G chord looks like this. And it sounds like that too. Looks like a harder grip, but in fact it's quite beautiful. You can get your hands around it, I promise. So let's go ahead and do this here. So your 1st finger is going to be on that 3rd fret relative to the capo, okay? 1st finger, 3rd fret of that B string. Now your third finger, reach up to the 5th fret relative to capo on that E string, and your pinky finger bring that to the 5th fret of the A string relative to capo, okay? You're gonna strum everything. Okay, so just like that. That's how we get around playing that G chord. Okay, so again, a series of 1s, a series of 5s. What's making this chord here, okay? So let's go ahead and do that verse from the top. Again, the intro, very similar to what's happening in the verse. There's that intro part, our riff. Now to G. And how we're gonna strum this, we're gonna hit the root that's located on our E string and a downward stroke with the chord. So it would be like this. Just like that. Then we go back to our D, to the riff. So let's go ahead and do that intro. I will abridge it slightly just because she does it 8 times in a row. So we'll keep it a little shorter and then we'll get into that verse. Okay, so here we go. Now verse. Time on the D chord. Now our G chord. Back to D. Pretty beautiful, right? So that's what's happening there. Now we do this, and then that now leads us to the pre-chorus. So the pre-chorus is going to sound something like this. We're going to go ahead and incorporate 2 new chords, okay? So it's going to start with an A, back to that G, to D. It's going to happen 3 times, okay? And then after that, we have a G leading up to the A, our 5 chord, which will then lead to the chorus, okay? So here's that pre-chorus in context. So let's go ahead and look at that here. We're going to play the A chord as we always do, okay? Pretend we're not in this double drop D. How beautiful with that added 4 on top of this chord. It's quite beautiful. So we have our 1, 3, 5, right? The A, C sharp, and E. Not technically because we have the capo, but again, keeping this to where if we were in standard tuning, okay? So we have that 1, 3, 5, then we have this added 4 of this open D string, okay? Really beautiful stuff, all right? And again, open, we're gonna strum the open A string downward, just like that, okay? So those bottom 5 strings, just like that. And again, nice and light here. That's our strumming pattern there. And I encourage you guys to listen to the timing of the song, how it builds. It's really, really quite beautiful. The beginning of it is very acoustic, and you start to hear mandolins, and you start to hear percussion, and all this other instrumentation. It's really, really beautiful. I believe Emmylou Harris is singing the background vocals on this as well. It's quite beautiful. The harmonies in here are great. Okay, so again, we have that A chord. And you can go ahead if you wanted to really strike that open A string, leading that foundational, like, hey, the root is right here. You can do that, or if you just want to strum, that's fine too. Or make that prominent A. brings about a good sense of timing too. So again, something to think about. I like to just spread the seeds and let you guys, you know, water them and make them your own, okay? So there's that A. And then we switch to that G chord. So I like to play my A chord like this, right? First finger is not being used here. As I switch to play that G, notice how the first finger is engaged and ready to go. I'll do that nice and slowly here. See how the shift is really cool? Nice and smooth. Again, we want to think about switching between our chords is a really beautiful choreography. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that again. Okay, and after this, we're going to add in that D chord. Okay, without that second finger. Because we don't want that note. At least we don't want it yet. So it's like you're playing a D sus too. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that again. Beautiful stuff. Again, Patty Griffin is one of my favorite songwriters ever. She uses a lot of really beautiful open tunings. Her album, at least this one's on 1,000 Kisses, that album. Her first album, Living with Ghosts, is just phenomenal acoustic goodness, and man, can she sing. So if you guys aren't familiar with Patty Griffin, I highly encourage you. Start with Living with Ghosts and just keep going. All of her albums are great. So that's what's happening there in that pre-chorus. Leading up to the chorus, we go back to a G chord, right, which would be our 4, to our 5 chord A. Okay, so I'll play that one last time, then we'll move on to that chorus. And then we've got a bridge, and we are done, folks. So here we go. Two more times. Back to G. Now to A. Okay. And that leads us to our chorus. Our chorus sounds like this. So we start off the chorus with that G chord. So that D chord. Now this time we're going to include that riff again from the top. Then we go back to G. Back to D, riff. Okay? Let's do that a couple times. So here we go, nice and slowly. Even slower. One more time. Another thing about this tuning, these chords that we have, this open tuning is really, really forgiving. So if you happen to maybe strum, too many strings, it's okay, because guess what? This D chord, it's going to sound good with all those strings. This G chord, obviously, will sound great with all of those strings. So keep that in mind for the rest of the chords that are coming in here, okay? So we go back and forth between that D or G, D riff, G, D, riff. This happens 2 times in the chorus. Now, the next time we go on to that G chord, and we're strumming it, right? We go to this B minor. Look at how nice and open it sounds. It's very cool. And as you've noticed, maybe some of you caught it, I'm not barring my first finger, okay? I want that open E string engaged. So let's talk about how to get there. So your first finger, 2nd fret, according to the capo, on the 2nd fret of that A string, okay? Your 3rd finger, place it on the 4th fret of the D string, okay? Pinky finger just underneath at 4th fret of the G string. 2nd finger goes down on the 3rd fret of that B string, okay? Now we're gonna curl this first finger because we want that open E string, okay? And it's gonna sound like that. Now, I was watching a lot of live versions of Patty playing this, and sometimes I notice that she hits this low, right, that low E. That's okay too. Notice how it sounds pretty good. So if you're strumming this and you happen to hit this, it's okay because we have it on the bottom and it acts as a really nice lower bass note up top as well. So let's go ahead and do the chorus G, D riff, G, D riff, G, B minor in this form, okay? Let's do that nice and slowly here and then I'll bring up the speed just a little bit. So here we go. Here comes that B minor. Okay, let's do that again nice and slowly. And then we're almost there, folks. We have a bridge. This is great. And again, those of you having fun, be sure to subscribe to the channel, Angela Petrilli Music. I do these every week. They're a lot of fun with the fine folks at Fishman. Thank you, folks at Fishman, for helping me do these week after week. I will leave, because I get a lot of questions on the gear I'm using, I will leave a link in the video description so you can see what fancy Fishman stuff, pickups, preamps, all that good stuff. You can see in the link, so be sure to click that, check it out. So here we go from that chorus G. We're gonna do this a little faster. Pretty cool, right? We're gonna throw in an A at the end of this. So there we go. We're gonna speed this up. You guys got this. Here we go. Chorus. So that's what's happening there. Now with the bridge goes like this: G, D, G, A, G, B minor, A to chorus. It's gonna sound like this. Chorus. Okay, so again, G to D, back to G, to our A, that nice little added D note in there, okay, to G, B minor, remember to curl that first finger, to A. So that's what's happening in that bridge. All right, so let's give it a little context. I will do chorus, bridge. Okay, I'm going to do it 2 speed. Here we go. Chorus. great. So after that, we have a chorus. And then we have an outro chorus. So at the tail end of this outro chorus, it goes back between A and G. And listen to the song and see how this builds. It's quite beautiful, particularly with the harmonies that are on it. It's just, oh, it's awesome. So we've got A, or let's see, let's start it from the chorus. So you've got G, is that B minor, A to G, A to G, A, that final G, let it ring. Nice beautiful whole note there, okay? Now after this happens, we go back to our intro riff. Now at the end, what she does, which I think is so cool, it sounds really, really good, she does this. Pretend you're playing a regular D chord, right, where your second finger is on the second fret of that E string. Listen to this. Isn't that great? It's sus2, but it looks like a D major, but it's a sus2 because we tuned down the string. Isn't that great? So let's go ahead, do that outro, starting from the G minor to B minor of that chorus. Here we go. A and G. Back to A and G. A. G whole note. Let it ring. Intro. Sus2. Put that second finger down on that second fret of the E string. Isn't that great? This is such a beautiful, beautiful, it's a heartbreaking song. It's a heartbreaking song, but it is absolutely beautiful and is just such a joy to listen to and such a joy to play. So I hope this encouraged you guys to look at really neat alternate tunings. This is a good one to start with because we can play a lot of the same shapes, right? We're gonna have to make some adjustments like we did with this G chord today. But again, it's a really cool thing to do. And again, I encourage you guys, have fun with this and see what cool shapes and sounds you guys can make with this open tuning. Again, another really famous song that's in this tuning is Going to California. It's in double drop D. So really, really great song to play. Again, really geared towards my beginners, but I think anyone from all levels can learn a thing or two with this Patty Griffin song. So again, thank you all so much. These are always such a blast. You can check me out on my website, AngelaPetrilliMusic.com. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Angela Petrilli Music, to check out all the cool stuff that Fishman is up to, including all of the gear that I use on these riff rundowns. Be sure to click the link in the video description and it will lead you right there. Again, these are just such a ton of fun. It's been a year today. It's the year anniversary of the Riff Rundown, and this is a really special song to me, so I wanted to cap it with this year of doing the Riff Rundowns with this beautiful Patty Griffin song. So again, if you don't know who Patty Griffin is, go and listen to her music. She is fabulous, really, really great singer, songwriter, musician, guitar player. Just really, really awesome. So again, thank you all so much. Hope you learned a lot of cool stuff. And as always, it is such a joy. Wishing you much, much success in your journey. And I will see you guys next week.